is where we had some very brief, there's M right there.
Yeah, it's right on M Highway, right on the county line. There's certainly still rotation here.
For sure, and there was a report from a storm spotter of a funnel cloud. So that's why they are keeping this tornado warning, because it does have a history of briefly touching down in Atchison County, just south of Atchison. It crossed over the Missouri River now into Platte County, about to cross north of there up into areas just right around M, County Road M. And we're seeing some decent rotation still.
Heading towards Interstate 29.
Yeah.
So that's something we'll have to watch too, Joe, probably in the next 10 minutes.
And just so you are aware, Joe and Jacob, my person that I'm keeping tabs with is right here. So we're right in the perfect place, honestly, to see where this storm is moving, what it's going to be producing, what it's going to be doing as it gets closer to the town of Dearborn, as well as eventually Fawcett and I-29.
And that's where eyes are so important to this whole process, because as I take a look at radar, it does not seem like the rotation is quite as focused as it was maybe about 10-15 minutes ago, particularly for this, core right in through here. There is definitely some rotation going on, wall cloud, perhaps a little funnel cloud as well, but it just doesn't look nearly as strong as it did, like I said, 15 minutes or so ago. There's also this guy that's up here towards the Agency area, maybe just towards the north and east of Agency. Again, no tornado associated with this, but there is a little bit of rotation going on, at least in the lower part of the atmosphere associated with this. So that might be producing a little bit of a lowering. This would be right along 169 towards the north of Gower. This will be passing close to the eastern area. Again, no tornado, but I just want to tell you that this is an area that is sort of suspicious, and we'll keep an eye on this as it continues to move off towards the north and west and approach the Stewartsville area. But again, for this area down through here, obviously you could kind of see the colors coming together, indicating a circulation, but the circulation is not quite as focused as what we have seen, as I mentioned, over the last few minutes or so. And my colleagues at the National Weather Service now also mentioning that it appears like it's becoming more what we refer to as outflow dominant. In other words, colder air is being pushed out of this thunderstorm and cutting into that low-level rotation. That's a good thing. That reduces the risk of any significant tornado. There still could be some funnel clouds, but the risk of a more significant tornado perhaps is decreasing just a little bit associated with that storm. We'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully this tornado warning that goes for about another 9 minutes will be allowed to expire at 3:30, if not maybe just a little bit earlier than that. So with all of that said, I do want to also focus our attention into other areas. For those of you who are wondering what else is going on around the region, first of all, look at all this lightning. It's going pretty good right now up across northern Missouri. I mean, these are some pretty big thunderstorms, lots of lightning, tremendous amounts of heavy rain coming down very quickly. Be on the lookout for some localized flooding. That's going to be very much a thing here, I think, over the next several hours. But in terms of anything much more dramatic than that, maybe some hail in the neighborhood of perhaps an inch, perhaps something a little bit bigger than that. At least so far, that's all we've seen. We haven't seen those really big. Can we take a shot
real quick, please?
Yeah, we can see the wall cloud on Malik's camera.
Let's get Malik's shot, please. That's the Jeep.
Yep, so
there we go.
Look at the wall cloud there in the top left corner of your screen. So this is the lowering in the cloud that's been reported, but there's no tornado on the ground right now, but this is the tornado-warned storm. The Fox 4 storm tracker up in the Northland, Malik Jackson, is watching. You can see it'll emerge from behind those trees in the top left here in just a moment as they come over this crest.
And then Malik, if you can hear us and you get over the top of this hill and enter a good position, we might want you to stop if we can see the base of the thunderstorm unobstructed from the trees, if at all possible.
Yeah, so again, there's no tornado on this, but there's a slightly rotating wall cloud. There it is. You can see it right there. So I would say this is the perfect view from the Fox 4 storm Jeep up there. And you can see the lowering, but it's not that low. There's a lowering from the cloud, but it's certainly not contacting the ground. You can see some of the hail and the rain there, but that is not a tornado. But there's a lot of lightning. You saw a bolt just then. And right there, they're at 169 and U Highway. And the Northland, perfect timing for the highway signs to show up. So we know exactly where they are. And they're looking north at the rotating updraft, but it's just not near the ground right now. It's a lowering, but it's not on the ground.
And I just got video from the location in Dearborn, just south of 116 that we were looking at, and there is definitely some lowering happening, but nothing touching the ground from our location either. So I'm going to work on getting this video into our newsroom so we can show this and keep an eye on it, but definitely something trying to lower, but at the moment nothing touching the ground, which is a good thing. So we're going to keep an eye on Malik's shot. I wish that we could get a little bit better view of that, those trees kind of in the way.
I think they're actually looking at this rotation at 169 and 31 and not this one.
Well, let me see where he's
If they're
located.
traveling
Hold
on 169 right now,
Let me see
I
where
think
he
they're
is.
seeing this instead of this. So they're still on the weak rotation there on north of Gower, but it's not the rotating funnel cloud. It's more of a wall cloud lowering up near 169
Then
and
he needs to look to the west
131.
if he could
So
get
they're
any
looking
clearing.
north on 169. So see, there's two areas. And Joe, you were talking about how there's kind of this second weaker area of rotation. And you can see it in the Jeep camera, but it's certainly nowhere near the ground. So that's good news.
So far, so good, right? Again, the most concerning aspect of things, and as you take a look, actually this is a good shot to take a look at. You see that rain curtain off there in the distance, and pretty much centered in the screen, there's that darker area. And some people can confuse that with either a funnel cloud or a tornado. That's just rain that's coming down within that storm. Again, our tornado warning continues for another few more minutes. Kind of interesting. A new tornado warning coming? Okay. So a new tornado warning is going to be issued now for the northern part of Platte County, southern Buchanan County. Circulation, which looked like it was weakening just a little bit, maybe trying to tighten back up again in that general area. So let's kind of take you right there. This is going to be probably a little bit of an extension and a little what we refer to as a downstream warning. So this is going to bring probably the folks in Edgerton back into things. Gower, there's the new warning coming up right there. This would include Gower, Edgerton, Agency a little bit more, and it concerns that, all right, which is moving off towards the northeast at around 30, 40-ish miles an hour, give or take. So again, the time frame on this, as we go ahead and put this into motion, is going to be towards Dearborn or close to Dearborn, maybe just to the north of Dearborn by about 3:35, Gower by about 3:50. So Gower, there's the circulation. Again, radar indicated, maybe a brief touchdown, about a half. Go ahead and put this into motion. Is going to be towards Dearborn or close to Dearborn, maybe just to the north of Dearborn by about 3:35. Gower by about 3:50. So Gower, there's the circulation. Again, radar indicated, maybe a brief touchdown, about a half. Go ahead and put this into motion. Is going to be towards Dearborn or close to Dearborn, maybe just to the north of Dearborn by about 3:35. Gower by about 3:50. So Gower, there's the circulation. Again, radar indicated, maybe a brief touchdown, about a half. Go ahead and put this into motion. Is going to be towards Dearborn or close to Dearborn, maybe just to the north of Dearborn by about 3:35. Gower by about 3:50. So Gower, there's the circulation. Again, radar indicated, maybe a brief touchdown, about a half. of the county line of Platte County and Buchanan County, you're probably going to be okay unless something kind of happens that we're not expecting. But just general area right there, right along that county line, seems to be a little bit more of a focus. Jacob, I know you're keeping an eye on the Weather Service radar up towards KCI.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So the MCI, the terminal Doppler radar up near the airport, has a better view on this storm, and I've been trying to keep it updated. So here it is. It is right now, if there's a tornado, it's on the county line. There's probably a funnel or a wall cloud. This is Highway V at the Buchanan and Platte County line, and it's essentially on 371 highway just north of Newmarket. So this is the rotation. It's right on the county line. It's probably about 2-3 minutes away from crossing Interstate 29 at Dearborn. So that's where the rotation is. That's this tornado-warned storm. And I'll put an updated storm track on it that's going to take it off almost due east at about 40 miles per hour. So it's going to track right along 116 highway from near Dearborn over towards 169. So this is going to pass probably between Edgerton and Gower.
Do you want me to get Malik south to 116 and 169?
That's what I was going to say.
I'll get him there.
Malik Jackson is in our Jeep, and we can even box that camera here. They're up in Gower right now inside the tornado warning, and they are looking west, waiting for the tornado warning storm to arrive. So they're going to try to reposition south about 5 miles to be at the best location to possibly see a funnel or intercept this tornado safely. And they can hear the sirens sounding up there, of course, because they're in the middle of the tornado warning. So again, the rotation tracker here from Fox 4 showing some of that, I would say low-end rotation, but it's there right between Fosston and Dearborn on the county line, about to cross 371 and Interstate 29. So that's where the rotation is in the Northland. The National Weather Service saying the circulation is improving here over the last couple of moments, and so that is the storm we're watching there in the Northland. The wider view again shows this is the only tornado threat nearby right now, north of the metro. There is a supercell down towards the south, and briefly, just because we have a great view of it from Jerry Powey, Bella Caracta, and the Storm Ranger, they are down in Franklin County looking back towards this Osage storm. They're waiting on hail and possible rotation, but our immediate threat right now continues to be up towards the Northland, where this rotation is now really minutes away from crossing Interstate 29. So go ahead, if you know anyone that is traveling north of the airport between KCI and St. Joe on I-29, call them. Tell them a tornado is possible crossing I-29 right now, and just wait 10 minutes. And then we'll be good along Interstate 29 up towards the north. So this is going to be approaching Clinton County here momentarily. Clinton County, you should be in your safe place. This is the view, I think. That's our Storm Ranger. That's down in Kansas. If we can take Malik's view, that's the one that's up in Missouri.
Yeah, and they're going to be turning around. He said they're on their way right now. He is.
There they go, yeah.
Yeah, so he's heading back south just to get a slightly better location. I dropped him a pin of where to go near 116 and 169. So he's on his way. Malik is, who is he with? Do we know? What photographer? Adam Wilson. So Malik Jackson, Adam Wilson on their way back south on 169 right now, trying to intercept this tornado-warned storm.
There's the little hook echo.
Yeah, it's starting to look a little bit more impressive on radar for sure. And as this crosses over 29, do we have any scout cameras in that location, Morgan, by chance?
North of the airport.
Okay.
So we'll look for that. And
yeah,
as they reposition near 116 and 169, we should have a good view of this storm. So that's the main tornado warning right now. And all of the other severe thunderstorm warnings, Joe, am I correct, are still kind of 60-mile-per-hour winds. We're not seeing the significant wind threat develop yet, although that's still probably going to happen as these congeal into a line over the next 2 hours.
And that's sort of what we're waiting for. It's going to be a 2-3 hour afternoon of watching these storms come into the area. The storm that is right now right along the county line of Platte and Buchanan, that's the one of most concern. That would be right there, roughly, moving off towards the east-northeast. So that's the most concerning one right now in terms of our tornado warning that's in effect. But from a broader standpoint, we continue to kind of have storms kind of all over the place. Nothing per se right now in the metro, but again, this is all going to change. We've been timing out the metro effects roughly between 3 and 6 o'clock. So we just kind of have a little bit more breathing space. If you need to get from point A to point B, you still have some opportunity opportunity to do that if you live within the 435 loop. Other thunderstorms are up here towards northern Missouri. They're producing some hail, nothing really too crazy. For the most part, below golf ball size hailstones, which is still significant, don't get me wrong, but it's not so far like what we saw. Some opportunity to do that if you live within the 435 loop. Other thunderstorms are up here towards northern Missouri. They're producing some hail, nothing really too crazy. For the most part, below golf ball size hailstones, which is still significant, don't get me wrong, but it's not so far like what we saw. Some opportunity to do that if you live within the 435 loop. Other thunderstorms are up here towards northern Missouri. They're producing some hail, nothing really too crazy. For the most part, below golf ball size hailstones, which is still significant, don't get me wrong, but it's not so far like what we saw. Some opportunity to do that if you live within the 435 loop. Other thunderstorms are up here towards northern Missouri. They're producing some hail, nothing really too crazy. For the most part, below golf ball size hailstones, which is still significant, don't get me wrong, but it's not so far like what we saw. Some opportunity to do that if you live within the 435 loop. Other thunderstorms are up here towards northern Missouri. They're producing some hail, nothing really too crazy. For the most part, below golf ball size hailstones, which is still significant, don't get me wrong, but it's not so far like what we saw. Some opportunity to do that if you live within the 435 loop. Other thunderstorms are up here towards northern Missouri. They're producing some hail, nothing really too crazy. For the most part, below golf ball size hailstones, which is still significant, don't get me wrong. 45, give or take, for Platte City. Other storms, again, important to note, not much going on right now here in the metro. All right, we'll always focus on that. But here are these other storms. For the storm that's up there towards Livingston County,
Joe.
yeah, that's what I was just going to mention. This brand new severe thunderstorm warning, which includes Chillicothe, has what we refer to as a tornado possible tag. So we're keeping an eye out for any potential rotation associated with the storm in Livingston County. And you folks now from roughly Chillicothe southward to the county line under a severe thunderstorm warning. Other severe thunderstorm warnings coming out right now for the Trenton area with this storm. This looks like it probably split off, so that little area there might be producing some larger hail. Again, so far we've seen nothing bigger than golf balls, still significant, but nothing crazy compared to what we saw earlier this week. And then some other thunderstorms continue once you get up towards north central portions of Missouri. Look at this whole mass of thunderstorms getting ready to cross over the Iowa border. There was a possible wall cloud perhaps associated with this. This is up there towards the Princeton area, right along 136, give or take. So we'll keep an eye on that storm. That's going to be pretty much into the state of Iowa, probably in the next about 15 to 30 minutes or so. But again, for the metro, still we're okay. And like I said, we'll probably be okay for a little while longer, but you know, anytime after 4 o'clock, I want you to be, you know, if you're planning on getting out, I want you to kind of try to stay in for about an hour or two. We're starting to see some smaller cells, a little showers develop near Olathe and Overland Park. Let's see if those turn into anything as they move up I-35 towards the Liberty area. And you can see some of these other storms off towards the west near and just towards the west of Lawrence. Back up to our tornado warned storm, which is still going.
Wall cloud right now. Malik, if you can hear me, just stay put right there. Can you see Malik's shot, Joe, by chance? Right now, look in the kiosk. At the kiosk.
The Jeep, we can see the wall cloud barely just now on the top left. You can see that little lowering from the clouds.
Stay right there.
That's a weak wall cloud.
Very weak wall cloud.
Weak, but it's visible.
Not really putting down a funnel at all. So
no.
That's why the tornado warning is in effect. This wall cloud has been there for the last 30, 40 minutes now. And so we're in Clinton County, just south of Gower here. That's what you're looking at right now. We're looking due east on 116 highway towards the rotating wall cloud that has just passed over Dearborn. So there's a wall cloud there, but there's no funnel, there's no tornado. The tornado warning still continues until 4 o'clock as we have eyes on this storm, and we have really eyes all over. We have our full...
Jerry and Bella are down on the Kansas side. Maybe Morgan just said they might have a little activity on theirs. Let's take their shot if you don't mind.
They've got a little lowering down there coming into Baldwin City and Douglas County. We can see it right here.
Yep. And you can see where they're located, perfectly placed, by the way. If there were to be something rotating, they have eyeballs on exactly where they need to be with this particular storm. They're right down in Franklin County, almost due south of Overbrook and due east of Osage City. So we're going to be watching their location as well. Another decent looking shot there. We'll keep an eye on Malik's shot. Malik, if you can hear me, don't move, because we can see a weaker wall cloud up there in Buchanan County. And
so this is the view that you're looking at right now, out in
Franklin County and Osage County.
So my colleagues at the National Weather Service in Topeka are saying that perhaps it's starting to gust out to some extent as the cold front starts to undercut it. As that cold front progresses off towards the east, and that's going to be the big change in our weather around this part of the country here in just a few more hours. If you do have some plans for this evening after the storms are done, you're probably going to want to have a pretty decent light jacket or sweater because temperatures are going to plummet. We're probably going to be down into the 40s during the middle part of the evening, and by the 10 o'clock show for tonight, when we join you, we'll probably be talking about wind chill factors in the 30s for parts of our area. So a big change with this big cold front coming our way. This is the storm that Jacob was just talking about. This is over there towards the Fairfax area, just towards the south of Overbrook. So Overbrook could be right there. There's 56 Highway. So now we're taking you down towards Fairfax, out there towards 75 Highway. It did show some sort of interesting structure just a few minutes ago, and it kind of caught my eye. But from a rotation standpoint, yeah, there might be some, but right now it's nothing overly glaring. But we'll certainly keep an eye on that as it continues to move off towards the north and east. But, you know, it's a pretty beefy storm. And I also want to kind of quickly show you some of the hail situations that are developing with this whole thing. And again, that's one of the things that I've been mildly surprised at, even though this is still very early in the ball game, if you will. We're probably in the about second inning of what we're going to be dealing with over the next several hours. There is some hail with this, nothing too concerning, probably maybe at some point up to near quarter size. That would be around the Fairfax area. That would be heading towards Overbrook, and that's why we've got that severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect as well. Other areas of hail, smallish hail right now, appearingly or seemingly from our detection algorithm. You know, you might add a little bit of size to this, so maybe dime to perhaps some quarters near Agency, or probably just towards the south of Agency, and then perhaps some bigger hail, slightly bigger hail, I should say, over there towards Stewartsville. That's some hail coming down there, probably quarter size, maybe a little bit bigger than that. But at least so far, there's nothing that's, you know, comparing to what we saw off and on during the course of the week. There are some stronger indications of hail once you get all the way up there towards and north and west of Unionville. That would be just towards the north of 136 Highway. So hail, some reports of gusty winds, and maybe Jacob and Carly could help me out with this.
Yeah.
If you've been keeping an eye on chat. Have you seen any reports of any gusty winds?
I haven't at all.
No winds reports yet. I think the highest I saw was around 55 miles per hour. Let's
More
go ahead
of a
and
hail.
take the Jeep view again up in Clinton County. So the clouds getting there, although the tornado warning has now been dropped, by the way.
But they did just issue a new tornado warning, though.
Oh,
up
for
towards
Chillicothe.
Lynn. Yep. I was just going to say Livingston County, Lynn County, all until 4:30 this afternoon. Let me get you some information on that.
Yeah, so the only tornado warning now is for Livingston County. This includes downtown Chillicothe. The rotation is right over Chillicothe. So now's the time to go to your tornado safe place immediately in Chillicothe and most of Livingston County. This warning until 4:30. So this is now the only tornado warning. And Joe, you've got an update on this storm?
Yeah, let me go ahead and show you the storm track on this. This is the Livingston County storm that they've just issued that tornado warning for till 4:30 or so. Chillicothe, 348 right on top of you right now. If you live in Chillicothe, again, radar indicated, not confirmed, but I want you to make sure you are in your safe spot right now. If you live in Chillicothe, get into your safe spot right now just to be on the safe side. Again, nothing reported visually, but it's a radar indicated rotation, so let's be on the safe side for you folks up towards Chillicothe. It's heading towards the Linneus area, perhaps passing very close to, if not just towards the north of Linneus, unless there's a little switch in track. Right now, again, mostly towards the north and east. We'll keep an eye on Linneus, but if it gets to you, that would be about 417, and Grantsville by about 426. Let's see how well it holds together as it moves off towards the north and east. So again, this is for Livingston County now, well towards the north and east of Kansas City. A tornado warning is in effect for Livingston County, and this is going to go again until roughly about 4:30 or so for the folks up there towards Livingston County. To be a little bit more precise, it includes northwestern Lynn County in north central Missouri, southeastern Grundy County, southwestern Sullivan County, which is kind of out of our viewing area, and the central portion of Livingston County. Quarter-size hail, perhaps a tornado. Again, radar indicated, and that's why we're being safe rather than sorry when it comes to this particular cell that's up there towards Livingston County. Overall, as we kind of get back into the metro for you very quickly, we're watching these storms that are coming up from the south and west. Right now, some hail possible with these storms, perhaps a gusty wind of 50 to 60 miles an hour. But as we've remarked here in the last few minutes, so far we really haven't seen too much in the way of any strong damaging winds coming from these thunderstorms of any major concern. And that's been the concern really for most of the week leading up to today. Here's the Lawrence area. I want to check in with our friends in Douglas County. We've got basically thunderstorms, locally heavy rains. There's the KU campus with some lighter rains now, but it's coming down pretty good right along I-70 south of Lecompton. And then once you go a little further south of that, that's our stronger thunderstorm, and that's near Overbrook, and that's got probably some hail and some gusty winds associated with it as well. All right, back up to Livingston County we go, and you could clearly see there's definitely a little kidney bean look to that echo. Let me go ahead and take off this lightning because that could be really distracting. So again, here is that rotation near south part of Chillicothe, perhaps near Norville rather, and that's right along 36 Highway. So now's the best time if you live in Chillicothe. Again, make sure you're in your safe spot. If you know somebody coming westbound from Meadville towards Chillicothe, get them a text. Make sure they stop in Meadville, at least for now. I don't want them driving into that area of rotation, whether or not it's producing a tornado or not. So far, so good as far as that goes. But again, for those of you up in Livingston County, tornado warning continues for you as well as Grundy County and Lynn County too. Parts of Lynn County all under that same tornado warning, and that's going to go up until about 4:30. Guys.
Okay, thanks, Joe. So again, you've been kind of seeing in the top right corner of your screen, though, as Joe talks, is our view from up in Clinton County. Still watching that storm. Right now, it's severe warned. Although, Carly, it started to get a little hook here in the last 5 minutes.
And I'm keeping an eye because Malik's shot here on the right side of it now, kind of behind that mailbox and that power pole. You can see it's not that super impressive or organized, but it is starting to kind of just get its act back together ever so slightly. Yeah. So I told Malik, I'm like, just stay there, maybe turn your camera just a little bit more to the north if you can, because it's on the far right side of our screen right now. But that would be the location if there were to be anything rotating or potentially a funnel cloud to develop. That would be the location that we're seeing as it's about to cross over just to the north of 116 and 169 intersection.
Pretty weak rotation, definitely not a tornado, but it's a little wall cloud. Let's take this full just for 30 seconds here just to show you. It's a little bit of a lowering there. You can see now on the top left side of your screen, and so that's the storm that was tornado warned, but no longer a tornado warning up there in Clinton County. The only tornado warning is now over in Livingston County. It does look like, you know, we're still getting those weak rotation reports from the Gower area, and that's what we have our eyes on. That's why our storm chasers are out there. Even though it's not a tornado, we're watching to see how this storm evolves. It's still flirting with the cold front. It's still on the favorable, moist, unstable side of the cold front. But once that front catches up to it, undercuts it, and the storm's pushed over, then that would kind of end the rotation threat. But right there, still a little bit of a hook. Nothing tornado warned worthy, but that's what we're watching there in Gower. A quick update back here on the tornado warned storm. The rotation just now crossing 36 Highway and 69 Highway.
Just south of Chillicothe.
Yeah, just on the south side of town. No confirmation up here. Radar.
Hold on. They just said near 36 and 65. So right there, they said there is a rapid lowering right there. Some dime-sized hail being reported just on the south side of Chillicothe. Currently, we're not seeing anything, but that's just from a storm report.
It's so far away from the radar. Yeah, it's up here in northern Missouri. So that's what we're watching. There's this rotation kind of between Chillicothe and Norville. There is a little bit of a lowering. No tornado confirmed yet, but Wheeling, Meadville out towards Linnaeus. Go ahead and continue to seek your tornado shelter as this tracks towards the north and east. So that's the tornado warning. We actually still have also storm chasers up there. Glenn Briggs from Grundy County is keep an eye on this storm. Good job. We have eyes everywhere, really, which is good teamwork by the emergency managers. The law enforcement help us with this across the region today, along with our storm chasers. So that's the tornado warned storm that we're watching. Still, though, a good chunk of severe thunderstorm warnings across the metro and the greater region, and they're slowly starting to head towards the metro. It's still, maybe, what do you think, Carly, another hour before most of these arrive here on the west side? We're seeing it now out in Douglas County. It's going to head towards Leavenworth and Johnson County next. This is a severe thunderstorm warned storm. That'll be, near Baldwin City or Lawrence the next, say, 45 minutes?
Well, and we're starting to see some activity bubbling up inside the 435 loop right on top of Overland Park. Not severe, but an indication that things are going to start rapidly changing here for the 435 loop. We're looking right along 35, north of the 435 interchange. There's a little activity there. Again, no warnings tied to it. Just to recap, we do have this tornado watch in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. We're approaching 4 o'clock in the afternoon. and we have a line of thunderstorms and then a second little front edge ahead of it, and both of these producing warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and that one lone tornado warning up in Livingston County. So we'll keep an eye on this, but here's kind of what we're anticipating it to be like in the metro around 5:30 this evening, and we should have at that point in time a much more defined line of severe thunderstorms rolling through, and that's where I think all of us are kind of thinking perhaps it becomes more of a wind-driven issue,
right,
more so than what we're seeing right now is some minor rotation within some of these thunderstorms.
Yeah, tornadoes not the biggest threat for a state. We still have that tornado warning, but I think damaging winds this evening over the next 2 hours or so will continue to come to the front of the picture. We don't really have a lot of wind reports yet, Joe, but I don't think that means we're done with the wind threat.
No, I don't think so. And right, because here we are, we've been about an hour into our coverage. We really haven't talked much about wind, and there could be a tendency amongst meteorologists to say, well, I guess not doing much in the way of wind. Let's give this some time. All right, let's give it another couple of hours before we could call off the horses on the damaging wind aspect of these storms. I still think they're going to produce some 60+ mile-an-hour winds, if nothing else. I wanted to bring everybody up to date in the Gower area. There's still this kind of interesting looking structure to the storm. The National Weather Service has issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for that Gower area, and then extends eastbound from roughly near or just towards the north of Plattsburgh, all the way up 33 Highway. It still has that kind of kidney bean hookish shape. We're starting to wonder if maybe that cold front is now starting to interact with that particular thunderstorm, and that should choke off the development of any tornadic circulations with this. But it's something that we'll certainly keep an eye on as that storm continues to move towards the 33 Highway corridor north of Plattsburgh, just in case the cold front slows down. Perhaps the storm could get back into some fresher air, more unstable air, so that it could go ahead and go to town once again. But it's certainly something interesting to kind of keep an eye on. As far as the metro goes, again, we're starting to see some little cells pop up. This is a new one that has just kind of crept up here in the last about maybe 15 minutes or so. This is going to be over towards, right around the Plaza area, or getting close to move into the Plaza area. Roland Park, Mission, Countryside, Miriam. This is just, let's just for now call it just a garden variety shower, perhaps a little thunderstorm. And again, this is moving off towards the north and east. So Plaza area, the Westport area, will be getting some rain here very soon. Once that little cell passes you by, you're not done, all right? I don't want you to let your guard down either, because we're expecting more activity to fill in on the west side of the metro here over the coming hours and move in either from the southwest or from the west. There are some pretty beefy thunderstorms right now over on the Kansas side in particular. And as we kind of take you down, here's Lecompton, just for an idea of where we're looking at. Here's Osage City. So this is a pretty beefy thunderstorm right now, southwest of Lawrence, just towards the south of Overbrook. And that is moving off towards the northeast. So let's put a storm track on this for you as well, for those of you in the general area of Douglas County, near Lawrence and south of Lawrence. That storm coming up from the Overbrook area, heading towards the Clinton Lake area. Lawrence by about 4:27, although you're already getting some thunderstorm activity in Lawrence, and Eudora by about 4:35. So that would be a little track update for you towards Douglas County. Meanwhile, as we go further on down towards the south, this is a pretty beefy storm, and this is kind of the shape that we start to look at when it comes to bow echoes. Let's take you up towards the north. You probably, folks, know a better position of where these guys are. Go ahead.
This is Jerry, and they're out south in Kansas. Malik is up north, and I believe Malik is trying to reposition himself. He's with Nick.
And so there's actually a new tornado warning that's coming out out towards Osage County.
Thank you, and that's where Jerry's located. So that's going to head
downstream, and that's where they are. So it's great. We have our amazing storm chaser teams all over today, and they are now ahead of this tornado warning storm that will eventually head towards Franklin and Douglas County.
Talk about storm fatigue too, in an area that does not want to hear about these warnings. But nonetheless, okay, there's a warning on our map now, so we can see that here. And Jerry and Bella in the perfect position for that, right along 68, and they're going to be close to the town of Pomona, just west of Ottawa.
Yeah.
And that's where we're riding along with them right now. I believe they are going west on 68, headed
This
towards.
is the Northland right now.
Oh, is that Malik shot? I'm
Yep.
getting them
Okay,
confused.
so this is the tornado warning out towards Osage City,
Yeah,
Melbourne. So we'll watch this. It's still about 30, 45 minutes away, but
and Jerry is right
if it
about
holds
here.
together, Pomona Centropolis again, out in Franklin County, we'll have to keep an eye on it. So can we take Jerry's shot? I want the Storm Ranger. We're in Kansas right now looking at the storm. This is tornado warned. And so here you go. This is Jerry, Poway, Bella Caracta. They are right now out towards Pomona, Kansas. Remember that? We were talking about them earlier this week. Another tornado warning right now out towards Melbourne. And so they are right now on K68 on the county line, Osage, Franklin. They'll be watching that tornado warned storm as it comes in. That's not quite to our area yet, but they're going to be on it as soon as it is. And we're going to have some updates soon as the National Weather Service in Topeka. We'll have to head that down. Okay, now it's time to start Fox 4 News at 4 o'clock.
From the station that's working for you, this is Fox 4 News at 4 p.m.
Top of the 4 o'clock hour, watching a brand new tornado warning that has just been issued for areas south and west of Kansas City. This is kind of borderline our viewing area, but I want to give the folks over in Franklin County a heads up, shades of what perhaps happened on Monday. This is radar indicated. That's very important just right now. Radar indicated, but there is a circulation, radar indicated circulation. At this point, nothing reported on the ground to my knowledge. According to my colleagues at the National Weather Service in Topeka, it would be close to the Lebo area, that circulation, and it's moving off towards the north and east. And I want to give my colleagues on the other side of the room a heads up that that storm is moving at 60 miles an hour. All right, so a increase in forward speed with this storm. You folks over towards Melbourne, or if you know anybody in the Melbourne area, make sure you have them take cover from this storm. And then it's going to get very close to the county line of Franklin County. Right now, Pomona, Williamsburg, and Ottawa. I know you're probably getting that little weird pit in your stomach about what's going on to your west. At this point, that tornado warning does not, repeat, does not include Franklin County, but we'll certainly pay a lot of attention to what's going on over towards the Pomona, Ottawa, Williamsburg area as a storm coming out of the Lebo area is showing some signs of rotation. For those of you who are just flipping on the channel right now, let's go ahead and kind of give you an idea what's going on around the region, and there's a lot, although the metro so far has done pretty well. This is going to change over the coming hours with this activity coming up from the south and west. So more rain, more thunderstorms, locally heavy rains. This is all going to be moving into the area during the core of rush hour. So that's going to be a concern for some localized flooding for areas around Kansas City, and especially, at least for the next hour or so, just towards the west of Kansas City. For those of you up there towards the north and east of Chillicothe, you too are under a tornado warning. This tornado warning for the north and east of Chillicothe has been going on for the last about 15 minutes or so. This will continue up until about 4:30 around the Chillicothe area. So for those of you in the Chillicothe area, again, a tornado warning is in effect towards your north and east. That circulation has passed north and east of Chillicothe, and it's getting ready now to move towards the Lynn County area, around the Linneus area, and that general direction. This would be Highway 139. This is well northeast of Kansas City. If there is something going on, it would be right about there. All right, that's going to be just towards the north of Wheeling and just towards the north and west of Meadville. I know we've got some viewers in the Meadville area concerned about what's going on with that storm. This storm is moving towards the north and west of Wheeling and Meadville, and it's moving off towards the northeast at roughly 40, maybe 45 miles an hour. So Linneus, Grantsville, Enterprise, Baker, all in the path of that particular cell as it gets ready to cross over towards the general Lynn County vicinity. You folks towards Laredo, you're okay. You folks up there towards Sullivan County, this will probably pass, at least for a while, to your south. But if you know anybody along this Highway 5 corridor into Lynn County, I want those folks to just be aware of this circulation coming your way. Again, radar indicated, no reports to my knowledge of any touchdowns. I've been keeping an eye on what's going on with that other cell over on the Kansas side. Again, Chillicothe is not in this tornado warning anymore. You were previously under a tornado warning. So if you've been taking cover from that tornado warning with the sirens going off, up in Livingston County, around Chillicothe, you could come back out of your safe spot. But again, remember, tornado warning continues for Lynn County on the Missouri side, Lynn County on the Missouri side, and that's going to go up until about 4:30 or so. Meanwhile, back into the Kansas side of things, we're still watching those storms coming up from the south and west. For the metro, and I know a lot of you are wondering what's going on here in Kansas City proper, here come the storms. Borderline severe, at least the initial wave seems to be borderline severe, maybe some 60-mile-an-hour winds, maybe. We haven't gotten too many reports of that as of yet. Perhaps some hail, but a lot of heavy rains coming from these storms as they move northeast, roughly 40, maybe 45 miles an hour connected to that, and quite a bit of lightning associated with this as well. I do also want to just kind of pay attention very quickly. This is one of those deals where if I'm not mentioning your town, you're okay. So for areas south and east of Kansas City, you're okay for now. There's really nothing showing up on radar. Got a couple of smaller cells into Miami County. These will be moving up into Johnson County here right along I-35. But again, out there towards Osage County, that's our tornado warning. That's technically not our viewing area, but I want to give the folks in Franklin County just a heads up with this, because that is one county to your west, and that storm is moving towards the north and east. Meteorologist Carly Ritter and Jacob Lanier have been covering these storms as well. We've got 3 people in the studio. We've got some storm chasers out and about. Let me send it over to them with some updates. Guys.
Yeah, guys, so Tornado Watch continues till 9 o'clock here. Just want to remind everyone of that across the Kansas City region. So tornadoes going to be a threat with some of these storms. We've seen tornado warnings. That's what we've been tracking the last hour plus here on Fox 4, but also large hail. We've seen quarter to $half size, and also damaging winds going to be a threat as well. So still a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, Carly.
Yeah, I mean, you have to scroll through them like it's a Star Wars
like
credits or something,
like a ticker.
because
Hello.
it's a lot of different areas, not only from the north and eastern fringes of our viewing area all the way down to the southwest side. Here's a sampling of some of our storm reports, and notice the timestamps on them. As we got farther along into the afternoon, we started to see a few more hail reports, that brief tornado touchdown that prompted that first tornado warning over in Atchison County. What we're fighting against right now with some of these thunderstorms is the frontal boundary, and as that front continues to move in and these storms are in the vicinity of the front, some of them tend to lose some of their oomph, if you will, and it's kind of causing them to weaken or fizzle out. The thunderstorms that are ahead of the leading edge of that front, though, are the ones that are able to tap more into the instability and into that energy that's needed to fuel them, perhaps leading to some stronger winds or some updrafts that would perhaps produce some larger hailstones, and then briefly those rotating storms that we saw, some minor touchdowns or some funnel clouds, mainly north of Kansas City up towards Atchison County, northern Platte County, southern Buchanan County, and then over towards Lynn County. Jacob, we do have some additional warnings that have been coming out, a few tornado warnings. Is this a new one that just came out?
No, this is still the one out towards Kansas, but it's also something that I want to point out that we're going to be watching for this evening. And I talked about earlier today on Fox 4 is this Boeing line.
Yes,
okay,
that's the
so
wind.
this is kind of the first hint that a significant wind event is starting to begin in central and now eastern Kansas. So when we get this Boeing, think like a bow and arrow, okay? It looks like a backward C. This is where we see a surge of winds that could exceed 70 miles per hour and cause tornado-like damage. So there's a tornado warning on this storm, but this is coming right in towards Franklin, Anderson counties within the next hour. So that's something we need to watch, Carly.
It is, and with the general motion, if it does continue east or even a little east to northeast, it's going to track over some of the same storm fatigued areas that were hit on Monday, as well as again on Wednesday. And then for those of you in the path of it, Jacob putting a track on it here. Pomona, Ottawa, you guys are very familiar with severe weather after the week we've had, and it is going to be moving in your general vicinity between 4:20 and 4:30. So you have about 10 to 20 minutes to go ahead, treat this as if it is a tornado warning, because these winds could be pretty significant, and we could be dealing with low-end tornado rated type of wind speeds with this line as it blows through. So Linden, you're going to be the first one having to deal with this in the next minute or so. It should be moving in, but Pomona and Ottawa, you have a 10 to 15 minute window here before that arrives in your location. Osawatomie about 4:45, Paola in Miami County about 4:48, Spring Hill shortly thereafter, and then Peculiar, assuming it crosses over the state line and holds together, which we're seeing every indication that it will be probably strengthening, not weakening, as it marches off to the east. So several warnings.
New tornado warning just coming out.
Is another one coming out
now?
No,
I'm sorry. That's the
yeah,
same
that's
one.
still out
Sorry.
towards Melbourne.
Yeah, that keeps flashing. That's what flagged me for a second too, Joe. It's still same
But
thing.
if I could jump in, I do want to tell the folks in Waverly, so this Boeing Echo that Jacob mentioned, we need to start watching the leading edge because that's where we could see these little mesovortices
quick spin-ups
start to develop. And I'm starting to see signs of something just towards the south and west of Waverly. It doesn't mean that there's anything on the ground, but there is a little kind of interesting shape right along this leading edge. This would be Waverly right there, just towards the south and west of Waverly. And my other radar that I use for analysis is showing maybe some sort of little circulation trying to form right there. And if you look kind of carefully, you could kind of see it maybe just a little bit better.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this has just kind of developed here in the last about 2 or 3 minutes, right in through there.
Outside of Melbourne, too, same general vicinity.
Just a little bit of a circulation beginning to develop. Now, whether or not it produces a tornado or not, we'll deal with that if it comes. But sometimes what these guys can do, even if they don't produce a tornado rather, is that they could produce an area of enhanced, stronger winds. And we've seen this constantly over the last few years when it comes to these Boeing Echoes. So this general area near the Beto Junction area, just towards the north of Hale Summit, approaching Waverly. I want you folks in Waverly, all right, obviously you're probably taking cover because of the tornado warning that's in effect for your general area, but I also want you to be prepared for potentially some straight line winds of 60 to 80 miles an hour associated with this kind of little look right there. That could be an enhanced area of some stronger winds kind of being blown out, if you will, from these thunderstorms. There's another one that I want to show you as well. This is going to be up towards Olivet. It's tougher to make out, but it would be in general right about here. There could also be another one of those little areas of enhanced winds right along the leading edge. That's heading towards Melbourne. All right, so Melbourne, Kansas may see a little enhanced area of some stronger winds pushing into the Melbourne area. Again, this is down towards Osage County. This is not Franklin County as of yet, but for you folks in Franklin County, this Bo Echo with maybe some leading edge tornadoes is sort of kind of moving in your general direction. Let me put a track on this whole thing, and it'll probably start accelerating here pretty quickly, which is typically what happens when we get these Boeing segments pushing out. But Williamsburg, this is due in towards you by about 4:23. Princeton, Kansas by about 4:37. Ottawa, all right, so here we go, Ottawa. 4:41 with the potential of at least some stronger winds. Hopefully nothing too much more than 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, but again, upside to that. Rantoul by about 4:50. Burlington by about 4:11. So again, this is a Bo Echo that has developed on the Kansas side out there towards the west of Ottawa and well west of 59 Highway. For a little perspective, we're still about 20 miles or so, 15, 20 miles or so west of 59 Highway. Here's Ottawa, there's Garnett. So this is west of 59 Highway. Probably due into you based on that speed of motion, I would probably say in the next 20-ish minutes, give or take. About 5 minutes either which way, with that storm moving quickly off towards the east at around 45 miles an hour. But it's a pretty impressive bow, that is for sure. And again, for the Melbourne area, once you get further out there towards the Osage County area, that tornado warning will continue for at least a little while longer. Let me check in. Have you guys seen any other updates about that tornado warning?
They dropped a couple counties.
Okay.
Livingston County, I think, is even canceled now.
It's only
Livingston County.
Lynn
It's
and
in
Sullivan.
Lynn County, okay.
Just
Yes.
Lynn and Sullivan on the Missouri side. Malik is just south of Gower. I'm wondering if I think he should come down south and maybe go to the east side of the loop just in case we get some stuff. Keep him on the Missouri side. but then we've got Jerry and Bella on the Kansas side, closer to where that line is starting to bow out. And I'm wondering if we should get Malik on the east side of the metro in anticipation for what's coming next. So
I think so.
I'll text him and get him resituated, repositioned,
So
but we do
here's
have
the
our
Lynn,
crews.
Yeah, this is the Lynn County tornado. So Chillicothe, you're now in the clear from this tornado warning for now. There's more severe weather incoming. Linneus, Grantsville up towards Browning. This is where the possible tornado is maybe headed towards Missouri 5 Highway in the next 10 minutes. So Linneus North and Lynn County, Missouri. Go ahead and continue with your tornado precautions. Right now, what we're seeing is the extension of this severe thunderstorm warning out in Kansas. So this is now a new severe warning for Franklin and Anderson counties from Ottawa down towards Garnett. I'm going to try to query this. And this goes until 4:45, and this is for this leading edge of damaging winds that's about to cross through Melbourne, Waverly, and head towards Homewood. We continue to have our Fox 4 Storm Ranger down there. Can we take them full screen just for a second? I want to see their view. They are looking southwest towards this storm that is starting to produce a bow echo with damaging winds. That's moving towards Homewood and Ottawa. So you can see it doesn't look like much, but I'll tell you, this is the storm that is going to start to morph into the damaging wind threat here across the Kansas City metro. Yeah, I'm not sure if they really have a big update for us right now. They're still kind of keeping an eye on the clouds. And when they get hit with this wind line, they will know. And they're going to kind of trace this back towards the metro, I think. Once it arrives towards their position, they're going to head north on I-35 and kind of keep with that bow echo line as it moves towards the metro. So back here to radar behind us, that's the severe thunderstorm warning down here from Ottawa down towards Garnett. So just a heads up for folks down there. I know it's been kind of a busy week already. And plenty of thunder and lightning and heavy rain now on the east side or the west side of the metro. And it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning also just coming in for Douglas County. So this is Baldwin City, Eudora. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 4:45, and there's going to be some strong winds and lightning in this, possibly some hail as well. I'll turn on the velocity mode and we can kind of see the stronger winds there. There's a little bit of a weak rotation, not really much,
I was gonna say.
but we're going to have to watch that as well. Possibly right now about to cross 59 highway. Rotation or the winds there, maybe about 50 mile per hour. Normalized rotation right along 59 highway, just south of K10 on the just south of Lawrence. But this is a severe thunderstorm warning. It'll pass right between Baldwin City and Eudora with this surge of damaging wind. So that will eventually start to head into Johnson County. So an ETA on this line of damaging winds from Douglas County east, that would put it towards Gardner at 4:35. So these storms are starting to move pretty quickly off towards the east, and this at some point, Carly, might even merge with the storm to its south and create a bigger wind complex.
Well, and when we have such strong wind fields associated with these little lines, they tend to start accelerating. So while we're right now seeing them moving at a certain speed forward, which is very rapid at 60 miles per hour, they could accelerate even more so. So our lead time when a warning is issued may shrink a little bit. So that's why if you're watching right now and you're in Franklin County, Anderson County, Lynn County, Miami County, to that extent, Douglas and even Johnson County, go ahead and start just getting ready, because even though there might not be a tornado warning, we potentially could have wind speeds in excess of 60, 70 miles per hour along that leading edge. And this is getting more concerning.
Look there,
yeah, this is getting more concerning by the minute, in my opinion. Every radar scan that we get, it looks a little bit more like a backwards C. And that, to me, and to our weather team, we've been talking about this, screams the damaging wind threat that is very likely going to be starting to unfold here shortly. And honestly, the area of concern also up in Douglas County looking a little bit more respectable as well from a radar standpoint. So two different areas that we're watching on the Kansas side, a fairly large area under this severe thunderstorm warning, and this leading edge. Not only do we have the strong winds, but at any given time, and Joe, you've been watching this outside of Melbourne, still some
I would think, as a...
Yeah, they just basically covered the entire 435 loop.
Okay.
They just went ahead and blanketed the entire metro. This severe thunderstorm warning's just been issued. It includes the potential for some hail, wind speeds up to 60 miles per hour, but this goes until 5:30 now, and it does cover essentially everybody in Kansas City. And
it's coming down for sure.
Yeah, we can hear it here at the station.
Oof, lots of lightning strikes.
Yeah, so we're not only going to be talking about lightning, frequent lightning, heavy downpours, we're also going to be talking about very destructive winds associated with that Boeing line that's down to the south near Franklin and Miami counties. I'm also keeping an eye on our Storm Ranger. Their visibility is still dropping right behind them. I swear they are literally seconds ahead of the main line of very destructive winds. And I feel for all of these vehicles that we see going southbound on 35, those semis, those vehicles, those are all going to encounter 80+ mile per hour winds.
And that's where I would go ahead and, if you know anyone who's driving from Overland Park or Olathe south on I-35 towards Ottawa, call them and tell them to get off the highway, get to a gas station for the next 30 minutes, because you do not want to drive through this severe thunderstorm. 80-mile-per-hour winds on the highway is no joke. It's almost like a whiteout. And think of the high-profile vehicles that you're next to. In 85-mile-per-hour winds, I personally would not want to be that. So just a heads up. Give your friends a call, family members that may be driving on I-35 between Ottawa and Overland Park right now. So just kind of this eruption of damaging wind, severe thunderstorm warnings over the Kansas City metro. So this is essentially for everyone. The main 60-mile-per-hour wind threat is through the heart of downtown Kansas City into Clay, northern Jackson County. The destructive 80-mile-per-hour winds is still for Johnson and Miami County. That will be extended shortly out towards Lee Summit, Raymore, Belton, and Harrisonville as it head towards the state line, say in the next 30 minutes. So here's the line, the Boeing Echo line of thunderstorms. It is now almost to the county line of Johnson and Miami. And Joe, I'm still watching for this cell nudger. I'm going to take a quick check here of velocity mode. Not seeing any tight rotation, but there's a hint of it potentially, maybe down towards the Wellsville area just a little bit, but that's also the leading surge of storms. And the radar estimated winds right now between Stanton and Wellsville up to 95 miles per hour. So we'll say 80 to 85 on the ground. That will cause power outage. I expect our power outage numbers to continue to climb.
I'm curious to know if maybe we can get in touch with someone who's in Ottawa and see roughly if they had any estimates of their wind speeds. Same with those of you, if we have any contacts in Paola, give them a heads up so we can touch base with them here in just a second. What was that, Morgan?
Okay, so there's the Storm Ranger.
Perfect. Yeah, we still have Storm Ranger overlaid. I mean, they're
in Edgerton. They're on
literally right ahead of it. Bella and Jerry, how are the winds where you're located? I mean, we know you're right on the edge of it as you're racing back up towards the Kansas City metro. Any uptick in the wind speeds, or are you still pretty much right ahead of this line?
We are right ahead of this line right here, Carly. So we're racing to stay ahead of it, but we can definitely feel in this heavy vehicle the wind. We can hear it actually from outside with the rolling thunder and the winds, and feel that pushing us here. We're actually right in front of two large box trucks. So as Jacob mentioned, if you can stay off of the roads, or if you have a loved one on the roads of this highway, I would get off of them given the wind speeds and the various other vehicles that are on the highway too. But we're looking off to Jerry's left, west, and that is where we're facing the camera as we head towards Olathe on I-35.
Okay, thank you guys for that report. Please stay safe. And they are once again moving out of Franklin County, up I-35, approaching Johnson County, and they are going to continue to move into Johnson County, the heart of the metro, where we do have those severe thunderstorm warnings. Jacob, Joe, myself have been tracking these storms over the last couple of hours. What started off initially as a couple of brief tornado touchdowns or some funnel clouds being reported has now very quickly shifted into a damaging wind event. For those of you who are just tuning in, perhaps you're tuning in because your phone alert went off. We had those WIA alerts go off for the potential for 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds tied to this segment right here. And this Boeing line is going to continue to work its way off to the east and northeast very rapidly. So the lead time on this now shrinking. If you're in Spring Hill, Paola, this will be here in a matter of minutes, and then it will continue to race up towards southern Johnson County, impacting south side of Gardner, Edgerton, perhaps the south side of Olathe, and then assuming it holds together, which it should, Lewisburg, this is your advance warning. Cleveland, this is your advance warning. Belton, Raymore, this is all moving in your general vicinity. Peculiar, Harrisonville, Freeman, I want you all to be prepared for potentially 80-mile-per-hour winds or stronger. This is going to be a low-end type. If you were to correlate this, this would be a low-end type of tornado event, but on a much wider scale.
Think hurricane force winds, right? And so almost, Joe, this is starting to look like a MCV, a mesoscale convective vortex is what we call that. I know it's fancy, but it's when we get this localized 1 or 2 county sized rotation kind of little spiral, and that's happening over Wellsville, which may enhance a little bit of the rotation potential on the leading edge of this. But again, widespread 80-mile-per-hour winds, that's low-end tornado, that's hurricane potential wind speeds.
Can we switch it over to velocity? I don't necessarily like what I'm seeing in between Stanton and Paola right now. There's a little something right there.
There's a little surge of winds right there.
Yeah, I don't like how that looks. So we're going to watch that. Joe, you'd been mentioning how you're keeping an eye on that leading edge as well, but a little bit of our rotation tracker showing a few spots potentially where we could have some minor isolated rotation. But I just want to keep an eye on those 2 locations especially, because this is where we also had talked about if we had anything tornadic. When we started talking about a line moving through, it would be those very quick little spin-ups that are almost impossible to give too much warning on because they happen very quickly and then they're gone just as fast as they develop. But what I want to focus on is the destructive wind potential, and we're getting some updated numbers here as Jacob queries this little leading edge of storms. And the wind speeds easily 60, 70, maybe up to 80 miles per hour. And this is racing off to the east at about 60 miles per hour. So it's moving along 68, moving along 169. It's crossed over Interstate 35 now. So Ottawa wind should be coming back down for you a little bit. But ahead of it, we're going to be talking about in Paola, maybe a quick little spin up just west of your location is one spot we're watching right there, just due west. Yeah, can we take the Hillsdale Lake camera?
Yeah,
that would
that's
be a great thing. Can we pull that up, please?
The Hillsdale Lake camera is going to have a surge of winds there, right near Hillsdale, where the tornado hit earlier this week. Unfortunately, this is kind of where the track of storms is taking it, right over Ottawa, right over Hillsdale. Not good for recovery efforts, Joe. There's the view.
There's the view from Hillsdale Lake. Also important to note that as these storms and as this bow echo gets closer to the National Weather Service in Pleasant Hill, the beam is going to be getting a better sampling of the storm. It won't be shooting quite as high up. So if you were watching Jacob earlier when he was talking about 80 to 90 mile an hour winds above the surface, I am expecting some of those winds to come down as the storm gets closer to the radar site. So we won't be shooting quite as high up into the storm. The storm is still likely producing at least 65 mile an hour winds, probably 75 mile an hour wind gusts in their extreme levels, and maybe even something even stronger than that. And again, it's moving right into Miami County through the western portion of Miami County, right on top of Hillsdale Lake. Southern Johnson County, you're going to be clipped by these strongest winds. These storms that are up in the metro are not quite as feisty, but they're still severe, maybe the potential of some 60 mile an hour winds. But again, for that bow echo, Olathe, Lewisburg, Belton, Lee Summit, Harrisonville, and Blue Springs, all in the path of this storm as it continues to move off towards the east at around close to 65 miles an hour. So it's moving, and it's moving pretty darn quickly. I want to also take you up towards the north.
Are you going to Cameron, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just saw that report come in as well.
So up towards the north, we're a little concerned about some of the areas around Cameron, Missouri.
A little more up north.
Yeah, there we go. General area for at least the potential of maybe some 60 mile an hour, or actually check that, 75 mile or 80 mile an hour winds towards the Cameron area. So just a heads up for you folks up towards Cameron that some strong winds are coming your way. Into the metro, here's Kansas City. Again, we have these thunderstorms all over the place, real heavy rains coming down right along 24 Highway, I-70, up 435, up I-29 to about 152 Highway south of the Zona Rosa area. So strong, strong winds, heavy rains. You could see some of these cameras that we're showing you. This is occurring during rush hour, which is a bad situation. This is the Miriam area. So again, for the region as a whole, locally heavy rains coming on down. Right now, no indications of any tornadic winds, but strong straight line winds are going to be an issue with these storms as they continue to move off towards the east. For those of you up in Lynn County on the Missouri side, northeastern portions of Lynn County, your tornado warning has been canceled. So northeastern portions of Lynn County, your tornado warning has been canceled. We're also watching, and this is what Carly brought up a little bit earlier, over towards the Rantoul area. A little while ago, let me kind of catch up here, there was that little circulation that we were watching trying to form. It's still running around out there near that general vicinity, or actually now east of there, but I'm kind of watching that. That would be right around or just towards the north of Paola. Let me get up my pointer here for you.
Can we take the Hillsdale Lake camera again?
Yeah, let's take that
Because
real quick.
that's right over the rotation that Joe's looking at for a quick spin up. I'd just like to see what that looks like. So this is probably the strongest winds right now over Hillsdale Lake. Unfortunately, heading right to the town of Hillsdale, where we were tracking a couple days ago. Not really seeing...
Now, as I look at that camera, I'm looking at the water.
That's what I'm looking at,
to give you an indication of, if you see any choppiness to the water, tough to make out with all the rain, but I'm not really seeing any choppiness to the water.
Joe, a couple of things I want to point out as you were doing your little radar tour there, we were able to kind of zoom out a little bit here. And this line that's blowing into the metro now between Olathe, Overland Park, I'm a little concerned that that's also trying to maybe straighten out a little bit, perhaps trying to bow out as well. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, specifically down in Johnson County. Yeah, right there. That's a little concerning. Then we have that secondary area in between Spring Hill down to Osawatomie. Those are two locations, both going to be pushing east at a very rapid clip. And so wind speeds should be rapidly increasing now, not only through Franklin County, you're almost done, more Miami County now at this point, and Johnson County. These are pushing off to the east at a very rapid rate, and that's going to be concerning.
See the warning, I think, extended towards Lee's Summit, Belton, Raymore, Harrisonville shortly, because heads up, southern Jackson County, Cass County, the destructive 70 to 80 mile per hour winds are heading in your direction, and they're about 30 minutes away. 30 to 45 minutes away. So just a heads up, the strongest winds right now are in Olathe, they're in Lenexa, they're in Spring Hill, they're in Paola, they're crossing 169 highway on the south side of Johnson County into Miami County. And this is tracking towards the state line rapidly. So the strongest winds and highest power outage risk is essentially from the 435 loop south through Johnson and Miami County. We still are having strong winds downtown. We just got a 63 mile per hour damaging wind report at the downtown airport. But we'll also see, I bet shortly we'll get some wind gusts reported there from the Olathe airport as well.
And also we're up to 7,500 customers in the metro alone with power outages. So over 7,500 customers, with that number rapidly growing. You're looking live right now at I-35. It looks like West Penway exit. I was going to say this looks like right by our station. So a lot of rain falling in a very short amount of time. The roadways starting to become inundated with water. So we're also, and we've been talking about this last night with Joe and Jacob, and then this morning Michelle and I were mentioning how in addition to all of the wind issues and the potential quick spin ups or the hail, the flooding concern is growing. And while we don't necessarily have any flash flood warnings at the morning, we do have a flood warning, or flood watch, excuse me, from now through 4 a.m. So the rain rates are going up, the wind speeds are going up. I feel like this is just starting to escalate now as we start to tap into more energy as these storms are racing towards the state line.
I'll get another check here on the velocities to see the strongest winds there. They're
still
in Miami
over towards
County.
Paola. I'm a little concerned. Just north of Paola, approaching Lewisburg now, and, just south of Spring Hill.
It may not be a tornado, but boy, is that strong winds. And we're getting closer to the radar now. That is right along K68 and 169 highway. We'll say 80 mile per hour winds in Hillsdale, Paola, and Wagstaff. And that is now 5 minutes away from Lewisburg. So Lewisburg, let's treat this like a tornado warning. You do not want to be outside or near windows, near power lines when a hurricane force gust push through. This is a low end tornado type situation where you want to be in an interior room, lowest level of your home. That's how we kind of say to treat these destructive severe thunderstorm warnings. And this is now going to push across the state line shortly. So the good news is we're not seeing any spin ups. The bad news is the damaging wind threat is certainly unfolding, especially from Overland Park south. Olathe, Spring Hill, Paola, that's the hot zone for damaging winds, and that will be pushing towards. Is the speed still at about 60 miles per hour?
I'm going to let you,
now?
while you work on getting a fresh track on that.
And I've got a you've got a fresh track. Okay,
I was going to say, we also have reports of flooding once again at I-70 eastbound at Broadway. One of the spots that we had issues with the last big rain event. So there's that camera there, split screen. That's where the flooding is in downtown. So again, causing issues during the heart of rush hour where we have this big flooding event.
Don't drive through that, my goodness.
Good grief.
Let's
Look
go
at
ahead
the
and start
waterfall
Fox 4
coming off.
News at 5 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, Fox 4 News at 5 starts right now.
From the station that's working for you, this is Fox 4 News at 5 p.m.
Where's that? Main
This is
Street?
70 and Broadway.
Okay.
So downtown Kansas City, you're looking live at
Look at
flooding
the
on the
water
interstate.
on the right side, just streaming over that wall.
Oh, those cars. I don't want to see you get one
Yeah,
stuck.
somebody's going to get stuck.
You guys,
Somebody's gonna
please.
need a new
Flooding
engine.
is an issue this evening. Damaging winds an issue this evening. Joe, Laura, you have an update on the timeline for these winds?
Yeah, I just went ahead and charted up something for the folks, especially on the south side of Kansas City, down towards the Belton area, down towards Lewisburg. This is connected to the Bow Echo that is moving through Miami County right now, the leading edge, near and just towards the east of 169. For the heart of Kansas City, we're dealing mainly with flooding rains. That seems to be the big issue. The potential is there for maybe some 60-mile-an-hour winds. For southern Johnson County, about the same. This Bow Echo is going to be mostly focused roughly right along the county line down through Miami County. This will be shifting over into Cass County. So you folks in Belton, over towards Harrisonville, around the Drexel area, the general Cass County area, I want you folks to be prepared for at least 70-mile-an-hour winds with maybe some upside to that as this Bow Echo comes out of Kansas and moves through Cass County. As we go further up the line with our tornado watch, that continues, and you could kind of see one of our spotters out there by CPKC Stadium,
That's
right in
Malik.
downtown Kansas City. It is it's very, very wet. No doubt about that. And again, we've got that flooding going on right now as we speak. Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some flash flood warnings.
They're about to
coming
issue a
out.
warning for downtown,
There
flash
you go.
flood warning.
Okay.
It's almost as if, yeah, so flash flood warnings are coming out now for the area, especially with these thunderstorms that are right on top of downtown Kansas City. This is a lot of lightning. When I query just how many lightning strikes we've seen in the last 15 minutes, the number went above 1,000. That's a lot. Very electrical storms, very, very heavy and torrential rains. That seems to be about the main issue with these storms around the heart of Kansas City, at least so far. You can see now I-35, is that I-35, I believe? 169, okay, in downtown, yeah, right around the Broadway Bridge area.
Look at that
and
water, Jacob.
you can see the water
Oh, boy.
cascading
Good grief.
over
It's
the
a
wall
waterfall.
there.
Those people need to just stop. Good
Well,
grief.
they're about to stop because if you look on the far left-hand corner of your screen, you can see a little pond developing right where
Yeah.
those cars on the left are venturing
I
to
wouldn't do
go.
it.
So it really is, don't bother. Just if you're in your office, if you're watching us online, if you're watching us on WDAF Plus or on the air and you're thinking to yourself, well, I live here in downtown or I need to run home from the office, call it a day, give this some time. Don't even bother getting out in this whole mess because it is right now a very hot mess in terms of flooding rains around the heart of Kansas City. This was one of my big concerns, that all of this was going to happen during rush hour, and here we are during rush hour with all of this happening. I've just
Oh, dear.
noticed. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
dear.
So that's just not
Yep.
Well, we got
not a
people
good
stuck.
look. All right, so new warnings have just come out for this Bow Echo, and this is going to be, again, the potential of 70 to 80-mile-an-hour winds coming into Cass County and southern portions of Jackson County. And this is going to go roughly until about 6 o'clock or so. So, again, for these storms coming through, south of Olathe, near and south of Gardner, and points eastward. We'll just kind of do a whole track right in through here and take this, move it east-northeastwards. And again, with that image freezed up, let's go ahead and come back to me if we can. Let's show you these storms. Lewisburg 508, Cleveland by about 511, Belton by 516, Lee Summit by 526, Lake Lotawana 533, Kingsville by about 539. Again, this would be that Bow Echo, which may be able to produce 70 to close to 80-mile-an-hour winds as it continues to move off towards the east. Watch out for flooding rains as well. We've been teamed up here for the last couple of hours, tracking these storms from Kansas to northern Missouri and now into the metro. Timing has worked out exactly as we expected. Let's go ahead and go over to meteorologist Jacob Lanier and Carly Redder.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, Carly. So here's the flash flood warning for the entire Kansas City metro that goes until 9 o'clock. So that's what, 1.5 million people. And we just saw these stalled cars on the interstate downtown. So do not risk it. You want to turn around, don't drown. And we also have our storm ranger now, Carly, in the middle of this bow echo, kind of between Olathe and near the Spring Hill area.
Well, and I'm also keeping an eye on a couple of things. So we've been mentioning mainly the bow echo on the south side down towards Franklin and now moving through Miami County. I'm also seeing the winds pick up near 435 on the south side down towards 435, 35 interchange, really near 69 and Metcalf and 435. That to me is an area that we've seen the wind speed starting to increase a little bit and the radar representation looking a little bit more like it's trying to bow out as well. So the south side of the 435 loop, we're talking about near Overland Park, in between there and really Quivira and Metcalf is where the strongest winds are located, near the Oak Park Mall, right outside of the Overland Park Soccer Complex. This is going to be racing off to the east, moving over Metcalf, eventually over the state line, and then it will continue working its way through Missouri between Waldo and those of you over towards Raytown, Unity Village, Hickman Mills, Longview Lake, Martin City probably going to get clipped by this as well. So Jacob's putting a track on it. For those of you on the Missouri side, just after the next few minutes, you'll see your winds starting to pick up big time in Waldo, Martin City in the next few minutes. Grandview, you've got about 5 minutes to go. Longview Lake slightly longer, but this is another area that's now starting to bow out as well. And we've seen some wind speeds potentially up to 70 miles per hour with this. And so if you have been, especially down in Johnson County, you've gotten the alert on your phone where we had reports of possibly up to 80 mile per hour winds, definitely going to be a problem for travel, not only from a wind standpoint, but also from that flooding standpoint. Now we're seeing rain inundating a lot of the roads. Here's our Overland Park camera where we have those wind speeds possibly up to 70 miles per hour. This is right at 435 in Metcalf where we have some of the strongest winds located. So if we were to see wind speeds 70, 80 miles per hour, you're taking a look at what it would be like right now if you were in that location.
It's almost a whiteout on 435. That's really dangerous to be driving in. So that's why we told you this afternoon, and I'm glad that schools dismissed early, because imagine if everyone was out on the road right now coming home from school, from work. That would be a mess, especially now on the south side of the metro. So still kind of two zones we're watching, from Overland Park, Leawood, Grandview, and Martin City down to, say, Spring Hill and Lewisburg. That is pushing into Belton, Grandview, and Lee's Summit with damaging 60 to 70 mile per hour winds.
Also over just north of Independence, I'm seeing a little bit more of an uptick.
It is starting to surge now for most of Jackson County as well. And then even further south from Lewisburg, that's going to push into Cass County. So Harrisonville, Peculiar, Raymore here in the next 15, 20 minutes. So the damaging wind threat continues to become more widespread, continues to intensify as this crosses the state line.
Joe, do you have any other reports or updates for us?
So we just got a 67 mile an hour wind gust, 169 and 223rd Street.
Okay.
I'm bringing that up just because these are all familiar areas from when we had all the rough weather just a couple of days ago. That is down across the southern portion of Johnson County. I wanted to kind of highlight this flooding situation for you, and it's quickly turning into a real mess. And we're talking now close to 1.4 million people that are right now under this flood warning. I kind of hatched it in for you a little bit more clearly. And these are thunderstorms. They will move out of here over the next hour or two, so the rain will lighten up and things will get a lot better after about maybe 6:30 or so. But we're into it right now with all sorts of thunderstorm activity, all sorts of torrential rains. I have really not seen too many reports of any significant hail coming from these storms, so that's, you know, something of note as well. And let's now broaden out our view, because we've got so many thunderstorms that are out there. We're still obviously focusing our attention on the bow echo that's moving through Miami County. Again, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds seem to be the main issue with that. There is maybe some uptick to those stronger winds. Still a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings. These storms now are starting to tend to kind of fight with themselves. They're all trying to fight for the same instability. The areas off towards the east of Kansas City, though, have been unaffected over the last couple of hours. There's been no rain out here, so there's still plenty of instability for these storms to work with. But this is a whole mess here of heavy thunderstorms, torrential rains, stronger winds pushing into southern portions of Jackson County on the Missouri side, as well as Cass County as well on the Missouri side. So again, we're still worried about the winds and the flooding. It seems to me, based on some of the lack of reports, that the hail threat isn't really all that dramatic at this point. We'll keep an eye on it. There's been some pea-sized hail reported just a few minutes ago down towards the Overland Park area. A little bit of pea-sized hail at the KU Med Center reported at the helipad there. But again, smallish hail, which is okay, right, compared to what we were dealing with just a couple of days ago. But these are still some pretty nasty storms, and we'll go ahead and put a whole long storm track on this for you as these storms continue to move off towards the east. Let's go ahead and check in with Storm Ranger, and then we'll get to the storm track. And you can kind of see what's going on with these storms. Storm Ranger? No Storm Ranger.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're in South Olathe, Joe.
Oh, it's down on the Olathe side, down across southern Johnson County. Yeah, you want no part of that. That's a mess. You got to watch out for hydroplaning. You know the routine with this stuff. We are a flood city here in Kansas City. A lot of people get all stressed out about tornadoes, understandably so, but Kansas City is a flood city, and that is what we are seeing unfold as we speak. This is down towards the Olathe area with torrential rains continuing. Doesn't look like we've seen much in the way of damage down there, at least where Storm Ranger is right now. Back to us here with radar and your storm track as we get some cities up here for you with the latest time frame of when these storms are going to be moving your way. Bring it back to me, if we can. Bring it back to me. Okay, so here's a look downtown. You can still see flooding. Let's just expect you got a stalled car. That car didn't make the right decision. We constantly tell you don't drive into flooded areas. So again, you could see the effects of this heavy thunderstorm. It looks like it might be lightening up just a little bit. So that is downtown Kansas City. Now back to me, please, with the storm track update for you.
Oh gosh,
Back to me,
cars
please.
just hitting all this
Okay,
water.
thank you.
Yikes.
All right, so Independence, these storms are due your way by 5:16. Green Valley by 5:30. Oak Grove by about 5:35. Holden by about 5:52. And Higginsville by about 5:57. There's your leading edge of these thunderstorms, all the lightning heading towards Cleveland, Independence, Lee Summit, Harrisonville. Eventually, Holden, Odessa, heading towards Concordia. So these storms will maintain themselves as they continue to move off towards the east into the west central portion of Missouri, and they will continue to produce not only torrential rains,
Joe?
but also some very, very strong winds. Carl.
They're about to issue a tornado warning for northeastern Miami, southwestern Johnson into Cass County now. And this is what Jacob and I have been watching just outside of Stillwell.
So this is going to include Belton, Raymore, Loch Lloyd, Peculiar for a new tornado warning coming.
Yeah, they're just about to issue it. I'm assuming it'll probably go till 5:45. And it is for northeastern, extreme northeastern Miami County, southwestern Johnson County, and then crossing over into Cass County. And it's a location just outside of Stillwell that we've been watching. There's these little quick spin-ups along this leading edge that we've been monitoring. So in addition to all the roads that are starting to get flooded, the flash flood warnings that covers the entire metro, now we're going to be watching for this tornado warning that should be dropping down here. Here we go. This goes until, let me see here.
So again, the rotation right near Stillwell, Kansas on 69 Highway. And so this is about near the state line. So we're going to get the tornado warning here on the map. And that's going to include Belton, Raymore, Peculiar, and also includes Grandview, Lee Summit, Unity Village, Greenwood, Missouri.
So sirens are probably going off now.
Tornado sirens are going to sound. This is for southern Jackson County, northern Cass County for the next 30 minutes. So go ahead and seek your tornado safe place. We have 80-mile-per-hour winds incoming, a possible spin-up tornado, and this is the most immediately going to impact places near Belton and Raymore. So I'm going to zoom in here and show you where the rotation is on our velocity mode, and we're close enough to the radar where we can kind of see it. There it is on the state line, Carly, right between Stillwell and Cleveland.
So that's the location that we're going to be tracking as it crosses over the state line. It's going to move right over Holmes Road, for those familiar with that. That's going to be a location just south of Loch Lloyd, just north of Cleveland. This is a rotating area of this leading edge of these very destructive winds that will continue to make its way eventually up to the town of Belton at about 5:22. So we're about 5-7 minutes away. I want you in your safe spot now. This might just be a quick spin up, but even if it's not just a quick spin up, there are 80-mile-per-hour winds heading in your general direction. So we want you to go ahead. If you're in Belton, if you're in Raymore, if you're in Stillwell, Cleveland, or some vicinity in that location between those two cities, stretching all the way over towards Belton and Raymore. Peculiar, you're going to be right on the south side of this warned area, but this storm is going to be racing off to the east and northeast, putting it into the town of Belton and Raymore around 5:20 to 5:25. Longview Lake, assuming it holds together, and the line of thunderstorms will hold together, whether or not we still have the rotation. But still, this is a general timeline for when you can expect storms to reach Lee Summit even.
Yeah, Belton, Raymore, you have less than 10 minutes. You have about 5 minutes.
Get in your safe spot now,
So
please.
now's the time to seek your tornado precaution in northern Cass County. Joe, it's one of those quick spin-ups, but it could definitely produce damage along with the 80-mile-per-hour winds.
70-mile-an-hour winds right now reported out at the stadium complex, Arrowhead Stadium, reporting some 70-mile-an-hour winds along with the heavy rain. The storm speed about 55 miles an hour, give or take. So again, the Belton area, the Raymore area, the Lee Summit area, 537, Lake Lotawana, 545, Blue Springs by about 550. If there is something, regardless of whether or not it's a tornado or not, again, I want you to take your tornado precautions, but it's an enhanced area of damaging winds, and it would probably be the equivalent of an EF0 type of tornado. So an enhanced area of damaging winds heading right up towards the Belton area. This would be right along I-49. Morgan, I don't know if we could get some I-49 cameras looking off towards the west, maybe that, I don't know which exit, probably right around the Belton area would probably be helpful. Again, moving
58.
off towards the northeast, heading towards the Greenwood, Lee Summit area. So for those of you in southern Jackson County, northwestern portions of Cass County, again, take cover from this storm. That's our tornado warning that has now been issued, and it's going to go on for about another half hour at the very least. And that's affecting close to about 170,000 people. Again, that warning goes until about 5:45. There is some rotation down there. It doesn't look tremendously impressive, but there is definitely some areas of little low-level rotation, and I would expect it not to look overly impressive. Here's a look at the scout camera. This is down towards Missouri 58, and again, the worst of the weather is just about to get to I-49, so this is going to be...
That's the Belton exit, if that's 58.
This is going to be an issue for down there. This is down towards the Belton area, Highway 58, associated with what's going on to your west. Again, a possible quick spin up, not out of the question with this storm that's coming through the northwestern corner of Cass County, moving into south central portions of Jackson County. This would be the 435, 470 area, and some of this, or at least the 435 part, this will pass to your south. There's really heavy rain going on right now towards the Grandview area, stretching back into Johnson County around 135th Street. For Johnson County, it's the far southeastern tip of Johnson County on the Kansas side that is under, and actually they've just been dropped. So Johnson County, you have now been dropped from that tornado warning, the southeast corner of Johnson County. This would be towards the Belton area, approaching the I-49 corridor and heading up towards Lee Summit. For you folks in Lake Lotawana and up towards Oak Grove, just pay attention. Typically, these things don't last that long. However, the stronger winds will last for a while. So again, be prepared for strong damaging winds across, let's just say, the southern half of Jackson County, and especially most of Cass County, especially from Harrisonville, points northward. And then the torrential rains continue once you get a little further off towards the west. As I just quickly broaden out our view a little bit, back edge of the rain already moving into the metro. So once you get west of 435, the rain lightens up considerably, and then once you get towards the west of K7, the rain is just about done. So that's the back edge. This is not going to last for all that much longer, and give it about an hour or hour and a half, and things are going to be just fine here in Kansas City proper. But again, for the time being, we continue to have this tornado warning in effect for southern portions of Jackson County. Guys.
Yeah, Joe, so just wanted to zoom in and show where there's still a little bit of rotation in Cass County, which is why we have this tornado warning. So Joe's kind of giving you the wide view. Once this moves through, we're going to be done for the evening. It's really going to be another hour maybe for the metro for the most part. This is along Y Highway south of Belton, and the brief tornado spin up could now happen along South Peculiar Drive, right along Interstate 49, and it would be just south of Belton City Center. It's going to head right towards Raymore, and in the next 5 minutes cross Lincoln Avenue at 58 Highway. So that's where the town of Raymore, you still need to be in your tornado safe place for the next 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, Belton, Raymore, and this continues also into southern Jackson County as well, where this is tracking up towards the north and east at